On October 5th, 2017, a highly anticipated fan game was released. After raising $300,000, Gears for Breakfast decided to fire up the machines and produce ahead in time. I was like, $300,000? That isn't that much. How much can they really do with $300,000? I mean, just look at the Sonic movie. They had a budget of $90 million and look how they massacred my boy. So it wasn't like these devs could do anything good with just $300,000, right? Wrong! Before I even start, I just wanna say, Ahead in Time is the best Kickstarter game I have ever seen. Ahead in Time's story revolves around Head Girl. And yes, this is what she's called because she literally has no name. She's literally called Head Girl. She and her ship are heading home from some unknown planet, and halfway through the ship suddenly stops. A bald man, who later reveals he's part of the mafia, knocks on her window and tells her she has to pay toll in order to move on. He then proceeds by opening up her window, and Head Girl doesn't want this, so she closes the window again. But then again, this man is a mafia member and he for some reason has the power to, first of all, breathe in space, and secondly, he has the power to destroy windows, as if it's nothing. But then the mafia member quickly realizes that wasn't the smartest plan ever and he gets blasted into space. But something happens to Head Kid as well. You see, her ship is powered by these timepieces, and she has 40 of them. Because the mafia member destroyed the window of her ship, the door of her safe blows open and she loses every single timepiece. So now she's stuck in outer space without any fuel. And the whole game revolves around getting these 40 timepieces back. And this is where the adventure begins. You get thrown into these worlds that all have a unique vibe to them. In chapter 1 you're in a mafia town. Chapter 2 revolves around a movie set and 2 movie directors fighting with each other. In chapter 3 you for some reason willingly sell your soul to a ghost, and the only way to get it back is to complete these tasks. But you're okay with it because every task has a timepiece at the end of it. And chapter 4 is my favorite world, where you can just free roam and you can clear each area of the map in any order you want, with each of them obviously giving a timepiece. And then it concludes with a cool finale, where the whole world gets poisoned by a bunch of flowers and you have to destroy them. None of the chapters look like each other, and every chapter has something to it that just makes you want to play more and more and more. In the chapter 2 finale, you think you've completed the chapter by getting the easiest timepiece ever, but then you get the random call when you're back in your own ship and it didn't really end because there's more going on. There's some secret power that is behind all of this, and then you get to the real conclusion of the game. So it was you all along, huh?
Look who we've got here.
It's me,
I guess you're
Mario.
found my little basement, eh? This last timepiece is all mine. If you want it, you're gonna have to take it from me cold, dead hands.
That won't be a problem. Every chapter just has its own unique plot twist, and I haven't seen such good level design since fucking Mario 64. But now I've only briefly discussed the chapters, but there's so much more to this game. There's so many things you can do. Ahead in Time seemed to be inspired by the Super Mario Odyssey mechanics, because it has a bunch of different heads you can actually use to your advantage. You have an ice head, you have a head that points you to your objective, you have a head that makes things that are invisible visible, you have a time slowing head, you have a brewing head, and you have a head that speeds your shit up. To unlock those heads you need to find yarns, and these yarns are spread over every world, every level, every act, and you have to be really creative in order to find them. For one yarn you need to grab this apple, get the apple on fire and throw it on a block of ice in order to be able to access the yarn. Yo, anyone wanna set this apple on fire? Thank you. And easy. And that's how it's done. Easy. And the final head is 32 yarns, so you have to get a bunch of yarns in a bunch of creative ways, and none of it gets boring. On top of that, you can customize the head by buying these stickers for these heads. There's a strange man that's in every level that sells you stickers for your heads, and they all have their unique boosts. You have a sticker that shoots a laser beam out of your umbrella weapon. You have a sticker that turns your running head into a scooter, and you even have these random ass stickers that makes every conversation sound like the person you're talking to is mumbling. And the best thing about collecting these heads is that you can go back to early worlds, because even Act 1 of Chapter 1 has use for heads that you can unlock in World 4, which gives every world a replay value even if you've cleared every act already. But it isn't the only collectible in every act. A bunch of relics are spread throughout the act, and if you combine these relics inside of your ship, they look funny and they are displayed, but they also have a function. They unlock a time rift, which is a side level in every world, which brings you more timepieces, and without these time rifts you can't even 100% this game. But there's another collectible. You can collect these coins. If you spend 3 of those coins, you can get new remixes to have different music inside of every level. You can get flares to make your heads look cool. Or you can completely change the color scheme of Head Girl. I am now Pink Chicken Man. All these collectibles are fun to collect because they're not that easy to obtain. And they really make you explore the entire level, where you would just be rushing through the level to get the timepiece instead if these collectibles weren't there. But then I can hear you think, the ship, isn't the ship the boring part? Don't you want to be in an act at all time? Because the ship really functions as a hub and nothing more than a hub. No, that's not true at all. The ship has a bunch of things to offer. You can dive into a pool of stuffed animals. You can sit in multiple chairs and think about your life. You can punch a robot hockey puck around. And the more you progress in this game, the more characters will show up and do things for you on the ship. With the best example being the music owls. You can talk to them and they play the best fucking remixes. And I have enjoyed running around the ship, listening to these awesome remixes multiple times.
The very best that no one ever was! To cast down is my real test! To traitor is my cause!
I like this one. The fact that the developers even thought of interacting inside of the hub and making the hub experience enjoyable as well is something that so many developers can learn from. Even though the game has a bunch of chapters, the developers weren't really following that order at all. Just a brief example, Chapter 1, Act 5 isn't accessible at all, and you have no idea why. You can actually do the level, but you don't understand what's happening. You're like, why the hell can I not complete this level? But then, after exploring Chapter 4, you finally understand, because you need the time head from Chapter 4 to complete Chapter 1, Act 5, which doesn't make any sense at all, and it keeps you confused for a big part of the game, I'm not gonna lie. What makes these chapters even more enjoyable is the voice acting. The voice acting is so fucking good, like even the random ass NPCs you encounter in every chapter, even they are voiced so well. But the best voice acting is done for the main characters, and in particular the ghost from Chapter 3.
Please tell me this.
You
murdered them, right?
Sure.
Strangled them. Good girl.
You see what I mean? 10 out of 10. The developers even thought of the community by actually including mod support inside of the game. Once you unlock the ice head, you can use this ice head to go to a different area on your ship. A mafia member is waiting there, and once you talk to them, you can select any mod you want and apply this mod to this game. I can't think of a lot of games that actually wanted people to mod their game. Doing this resulted in such a fun ahead in time Steam workshop, and it actually makes me want to play the game even more, despite already collecting all 40 timepieces. I would definitely argue that this was one of the smartest moves they made in this game, because not many games offer this particular aspect. Music is the most important part of every game in my opinion, and the developers of this game really did a great job on this. The music is simplistic, yet fits every level so well, and it really made the levels more enjoyable, because I really felt like I was being sucked into the level rather than just playing it with really unfitting music. Then one final thing, I want to talk about the final boss fight. In Chapter 1, the Mafia World, you meet Mustache Girl. And Mustache Girl wants to use the timepieces to fight the Mafia members. But Headkid doesn't care about that. She just wants to collect all 40 timepieces and go home. Mustache Girl really can't understand those motives. She can't understand why Headgirl doesn't want to fight crime, and she gets mad at Headgirl. Once you collect about 25 timepieces, she infiltrates your ship and she steals all your timepieces. In order to get them back, you have to defeat her in a final boss fight. And this final boss fight is so fucking funny. The final boss fight isn't easy. Mustache Girl has taken over the entire world and everyone is obeying her, except for me when I challenge her to the final boss fight. When everyone I encountered in every chapter is watching, I take Mustache Girl on in the final boss fight. This boss fight is kind of difficult, and the characters I met in previous chapters realize that as well. So they come to the conclusion that I can't win this without them sacrificing themselves, and they start punching each other to sacrifice themselves to give me HP. What happens after this is Mustache Girl combines every single attack she has, and my entire screen is just an explosion of sound effects, visual effects, and is overwhelmed by the sound of my computer breaking. What the fuck is happening? What the fuck? I was sweating like a motherfucker because I thought I could die at any minute. Until after the boss fight I realized those people were sacrificing themselves and giving me infinite health. So I wasn't gonna die even if I stood still. After noticing that post-recording, I felt really stupid because I had such fucking sweaty hands doing this final boss fight, man. The only possible downside to this game is the movement. Despite me really liking the movement, I felt like the controls were kind of shaky at times, as if you were landing on solid ice and you were just gliding off a platform. Also, sometimes when jumping, when you were clearly in range of grabbing onto a platform, Headkit just simply didn't grab onto the platform and I had to parkour my way back, which wasted another minute. But honestly, it wasn't really noticeable, so that's just kind of nitpicking in my opinion. Critics have compared this game to Mario 64 and Mario Odyssey in a negative way, as if this whole game was a stolen idea, but I completely disagree. Yes, I do agree it is inspired by Mario 64 and Mario Odyssey. It is inspired by Mario 64 because of the level design, because of parkouring, because of collecting 40 timepieces in cool ways, together with the yarns and relics, but it doesn't feel like Mario 64 at all. It does feel like its own game. And I also understand the Mario Odyssey critics, simply because the movement is similar to Mario Odyssey. You see, in this game, you can jump again, do a dash in the air and jump again. So basically that's just like Mario Odyssey, where you can use Cappy, then jump, use Cappy again, whatever, to do the coolest movement in the world. But I really felt like this movement was different from Mario Odyssey. Plus, it really made me feel like a speedrunner at all times, because sometimes I just performed the craziest jumps and I really felt like a speedrunner. In my opinion, these critics don't know shit, because it doesn't feel like Mario 64 or Mario Odyssey at all. It really stands out as its own game. One more thing I would add, if these developers ever have the time and money to add something to this game, is add multiple difficulties. Even though I really enjoyed the game, I never had the difficulty during the boss fights or during the actual acts. Even though I had to reset a couple of times, that's just because I'm bad at video games. I feel like multiple difficulties would really improve this game and make it the perfect game to play. For now, I felt like difficulty was on medium and I'd love to play this on hard or even extreme mode to just rage and fucking throw my controller out of my window. But then again, they only had 300k, so how much can I really ask? That being said, I wanna really recommend this game. This game is one of the few 3D platformers I have ever enjoyed. Everything is so innovative and I feel like they really looked at every review ever of every fan of every game ever and added all of that into one coherent game. And if you want a 3D platformer experience and you're a big fan of that, or you're not even a big fan of that, you will enjoy this game. There is no way you won't enjoy this game. That being said, thank you for watching this video. Go play ahead in time. If you like this video, definitely leave a like rating. If you liked it even more, definitely hit that subscribe button. And I'm out of here. Later.